Welcome to another edition of Impact Culture, the podcast. I have some super awesome guests on today, some really good friends of mine, Kesha and Pablo Smith. They are the founders of a podcast as well, of This Is Our Marriage. Yes. Kesha and Pablo Smith are also the CEO of I Am a Dad LLC and Doing Life with Kesha. I'm thrilled to introduce this dynamic duo, man. They've transferred their life challenges, their childhood challenges, and become a powerhouse of God and others through their challenging lives. They're both from Winston-Salem. They share a journey of resilience, love, and purpose. High school sweethearts. 24 years. People doggone it. 24 years. Let me finish the intro. Yeah. See, this is what we're gonna be dealing with all day.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Hey, I told you it's gonna be raw and uncut, baby. Yeah. Again, they've been together for 24 years. They have two beautiful children, man. One's up in New York doing this thing on the track. Man, listen, they have unraveled the secrets to a fulfilling marriage in this modern era. So get ready to laugh, learn, and embrace a fresh perspective on relationships as they share their candid, personal experiences and invaluable lessons. So again, from the founders of This Is Our Marriage, Pablo and Kesha Smith. Welcome to the show, guys.
All right.
Yes, sir. How you guys been, man?
Listen, married.
Married, raising children,
and doing time.
And doing
Can't
fine.
get away from it.
Yeah.
Pablo, I think we should get you a show called Doing Time with Kesha.
That's right.
Yeah. That'll be a great show.
With Kesha. So how you guys been? Everything good? Everything? The kids, you say your son's up in New York doing his thing?
Yep. Yeah, we have our two boys. Elijah, he's 22. And then Ethan is 17. He's the one that's in New York now, running track.
Yeah.
Now Elijah he's quite the entrepreneur, right? He's the one that does the t-shirts and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So he has a company called Set Studios, and he also has a company called. He just opened up another one. Studio Boys. Yeah. So Studio Boys. He is now into producing film photography.
Right. Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's done a few small like films.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a few already.
I'll get him on the show.
He's doing really good. And then he has also his film photography, so he does a lot of photo shoots. He does a lot of antique looking, like the Polaroid, the vintage.
They call it vintage.
Vintage.
Love that.
Get it right.
So
vintage.
Vintage. It looks really good.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just said we're really proud of him. He's really doing good. He's about to graduate from Winston-Salem State. I know you don't want me to say that too loud because he's an Aggie.
Oh, Aggie pride over there. Okay.
I'm proud.
They don't like nobody but Aggie. So
that's it. And where you go, somebody just say it. It's like. So he's doing really good. Everybody's doing really good.
That's awesome, man. Man, let's jump right into it, man. I know, Pablo, you and I have similar backgrounds when it comes to our fathers, not really being present. So let me ask you this: how did the challenge of your childhood experiences shape your perspective on life, and eventually lead you to creating Because I'm a Dad? And also, Kesha, you're going to chime in as well, and how that helped you come up with Doing Life with Kesha?
Oh, well, like you said, I grew up without my father, my biological father, and it was a major challenge, but I didn't really understand it until I had kids of my own.
Right.
And so when I had my own kids, it's really when it started hitting and started wondering, okay, I'm trying to do this without any type guidance. No one taught me. I learned a lot from my mother, of course. And so, but growing up, I grew up in the inner city, did a lot of bad things and things of that nature. Right. But I always just kept wondering, why would you just leave your kids like that? Like, I never understood it. I didn't think it stopped me, but once I became an adult is when it started really, really, really hitting hard. And so I came up with, because I'm a dad, to help fathers who are fathers themselves, and I didn't know there was a lot of fathers struggling with being a dad themselves without any guidance from their father. And so that's how Because I'm a Dad got started, and so it's been going pretty well.
Yeah, I think with that, growing up, because like I said, I grew up with I don't even know if you want to call him stepdad, because he was my dad, right? Because my father never stepped in, so it's hard for him to say he didn't really step into anything. You know what I'm saying? The stepdad, he was my dad, you know. And I was actually thinking about that today, man. Like, it's crazy how like fathers take moments for granted, right? And I was sitting there thinking about that today, man. One of my favorite memories of my childhood was my dad, which we technically call him stepdad. He's like, no, you're not going to school today. You're going to hang out with me. And I remember everything we did that day. We went and got sandwiches. We just rode around. He did his thing. He bought me some kids. Remember the Pro Kids?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Brought me some Pro Kids. Man, we rode around. And then I never heard him say this. So we ran into one of his friends. And he was like, yeah, this is my son right here. I never heard that before, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't one of those guys that hug you and like we are with our kids. Like, you know, we hug our kids, we kiss them, we tell them we love them. That wasn't his style, right? But when he said, this is my son, bro, I've never heard that before. So, man, I was thinking about that today, man. Like, we got to stop taking those little moments that we think is nothing and cherish them, man, because kids are going to hold on to those things that we think is just, you know, part of our everyday life, man. But, you know, you never know how, like, that literally hit me this morning, bro. It almost brought me to tears. So I was thinking about so many kids that don't have that experience, you know what I'm saying? So, and I know, Kesha, you had a similar upbringing. I know your parents were there, but, you know, I remember some of the conversations we had, you know, you kind of had some challenges in your childhood. So kind of tell us about the challenges you faced in your childhood.
So, in my childhood, yes, I did have both my parents. However, just because you have both parents in your household does not necessarily mean your parent is present. And so, you know, I try to tell a lot of my clients, you know, they say growing up in a 2-parent household is great. I'm like, no, not really. You know, push the brakes a little bit, because just because they're there, if they're not present, then they're not there. You know, so. You know, rest my dad's soul. I lost my dad this past March of 2023.
My condolences with that.
Yeah, thank you. But, you know, as a child, he was not there. Right. He went to work, but I never seen him. You know, I ain't gonna say never seen him, but I barely seen him on the weekends. He never came to any sports events. Neither of my parents came to any sports events. I walked home to and from school, you know, at a kindergarten. You know, but you know, back in the day though, that was normal.
Oh, that was nothing. Latchkey kids.
Right. But still, it still had a major effect on my life growing up, because he didn't teach me what I should be looking for or how a man should handle me. Right. So when I looked at their relationship, I was like, oh, hell no.
Right. I got you.
Yeah, but the thing is, thankfully, I did not turn to drugs. I turned to money. Money was my man, you know.
Gotcha.
So I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a lot of money, because I don't want to depend on nobody. You know, I want to be able to do this. So I created such a hard shell around. I don't even know how Pablo got in, because I literally was like,
snuck in there.
He stayed consistent.
Yes.
They stayed consistent. Kept knocking.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to live my life like this. Just some of the things that I seen physically, mentally. There was really no spiritual part in my family. You know, we went to church. We was to Easter, Christmas. You know, those types of
the dress up days.
Yeah, the dress up days where you press your head and all that jazz. So it took me a whole nother direction that still wasn't good.
Right.
So when I'm talking to people, or when I'm giving my testimony or my life story, I'm like, just because I didn't do drugs don't mean that money was a great thing either.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
That was your drug.
So, yeah, money was my drug. And
right. We all have our vices.
Absolutely. So that was mine. And I think we may talk about this a little bit too, but growing up with dyslexia, did not know it, dealing with low self-esteem from my family, from the dyslexia, from, my brothers were doggone bullies growing up.
Right.
I had a sister that had a mental disability. So between the three of them, I'm trying to be the quiet one. So, I won't cause a ruckus in my family, which is still unhealthy.
Right. Stay low key, under the radar.
Stay low key. Yeah. Let me not be the one that causes trouble type kid.
Gotcha. And Pab, I know you've known, and everybody that ever said anything about you, you're talking about how fast you were, right? That eventually led you to a scholarship. So growing out without that male role model, how did sports become a significant part of your life, and how did that help you navigate through some of your challenges?
Man, I tell people, my clients all the time, sports saved me. It really saved me, because it was either you, like you hear it in the raps all the time, either you playing sports or you doing street stuff.
Right.
And so I was good at sports early, and people recognized it early and was like, hey man, you can do something with that. You're pretty fast. And so, but I would rather play football than go hang out with the guy. That's when I started noticing that I really like sports. And so when I started running track, I started traveling. I running AAU track, in the summer. And we started traveling, and I had never traveled outside of my city. And I started seeing life, like, wait a minute. Like, we would go to Durham, Virginia, Florida, New York, Texas. We was going all these places. Of course, I didn't pay for any of them because I didn't have the money. I was like, if you want me to go, you're going to get it.
Pay for with them fast feet.
Right, I'm going to win.
The fast feet paid the ticket.
Right.
You said your mom had to bake them cakes.
My mama was baking my coach cakes. That's how I was paying for my trips.
Those called hood fundraisers.
Yeah, hood fundraiser, right? And I didn't have, but seeing that part of life really helped me, and I learned real quick about team and togetherness, and knowing that even though this brother over here is on your team in track, you got to compete against him. Like you got to beat him, and if you get out here and you play around, you're gonna get smoked. And so I learned real quick how to take care of myself in that aspect. And I think sports, I just kept running with sports, and the guys that I grew up with that kept doing the street, you see the difference now. Some of them went the street way. I kept playing sports, ended up getting a scholarship to North Carolina A&T, and went down there, and it's been great ever since, man. Sports saved me. I'm telling you, it did.
Now, through sports, man, we all have, just coaching youth football. I understand that my role is bigger than just being a football coach, right? You become whether you like it or not, you're a role model and you're a father figure to some. So who is that one coach that took you on his wing that you can recall and that kind of shows you, hey man, you can do this, and then that gave that lived that life that you can pattern your life out. You say, hey man, this is what a man is. Did you ever have a coach like that?
Man, I actually had a few. Like I had, and these were all my track coaches. Like I played football and basketball, and I ran track. Now my track coach, my high school track coach, white guy, named Steve Wicker. He was the first guy that ever let me know that I wasn't all that. He had to bring me down the sides real quick. He was a family man, loved his wife. He was an amazing guy. And he was the first guy that chewed me out in front of everybody when I thought I was all of that because I was winning a few races. So it was him. Then it was my summer track coach, Mr. Johnson. He was married for I don't know how many years to his wife. Amazing track coach. He's a legend up in Winston-Salem, rest his soul. And then my college track coach, Mr. Roy Thompson. Those three guys right there really shaped my life and they showed me that it was more about, it ain't just about you. Even though you have talent, you got to get your character right. You got to treat people right. You got to be a teammate to your teammates. It can't just be about you. And I learned so much from them three guys that to this day, man, I really, really cherish their relationship. Actually, with Roy and A&T, Mr. Johnson passed away, and Coach Wicker's still in Winston-Salem, and I check in on him from time to time. But those three guys right there, with my 3 track coaches, taught me what it was real quick about it. And I spent family time with them. I spent time at their houses with their families, and I learned a lot during those times with them too. So.
Yeah, man. Coaching is often a what they say, an unthanked job. Like people, it goes unthanked. Like people don't realize how important that the role of a coach is in some of these kids' life, man. So I'm glad you were able to experience that, man, and learn from them. So Kesha, let's go back to what you were talking about. You said you grew up with dyslexia. You had a toxic family dynamic. How did you overcome your low self-esteem and lack of confidence to become this positive, person that you become today?
So it didn't happen quickly. It didn't. I mean, I don't think it really happened until after I got married. So I would say I lived in a fantasy world until I had Elijah. After I had Elijah is when I realized a lot about myself that I just didn't know. So of course, when you're growing up, there was no such thing as dyslexia or ADD. You just can't read, and you need to sit your ass
slow. No. Hey, look, hey. We ain't doing that. Let it go.
Yeah, you need to sit your ass down. It was that, there was things that was going on with us as children that, at those times we didn't know about. And so one day I was just listening to a podcast, and one of the ladies was talking about growing up with dyslexia, and I was like, man, I remember that when I was a kid. I remember, trying to read in front of a group, and it was like, I can see the words. I know I can read. I mean, my God. But actually, it coming out of my mouth, it always came out crazy. Right. So then I didn't want to read. Then, you go from the people picking on you. Then, then I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to go home. I got to handle this stuff at the house. I can't read again, trying not to be, the child that gives my mom trouble, So next thing I know, Flando, I was like the quietest one, didn't say anything, didn't want to read. I immediately knew that, I shrunk. That's exactly right. I shrunk. And so, I just let me do my thing. And then I, in order for me to help myself, I would get the paper, read it, memorize it, and then I would raise my hand and say, let me read this part, because I had already memorized it. I knew it.
That's self-taught.
Self-taught, but it still hurt me because I wasn't dealing with it. I was just faking it, trying to escape it. So then, getting married, everything started working out good. As you get older, you know how to mask and cover, very well. And so, again, I didn't even know I had dyslexia. I didn't know it was a word until I was listening to the podcast. And when I realized that that's what I was dealing with, again, it was after I had Elijah. It really sunk me so low, because here I am married with a kid, and I'm trying to figure out what this thing is, what's happening here.
So you went through college all through that with dyslexia, did not know it.
Right.
Man, that's crazy.
And the funny thing is, in high school, I made all A's and B's in high school, got to college, and I was like, oh no, I can't do this college thing.
Right.
So I think that's when it really showed a lot. And I was like, I can't do this college thing. So then that's when I stepped out of college, and I went to travel school, became a flight attendant.
Okay.
Easy job, memorized the stuff, read it, I didn't have to deal with that. And, the flight attendant for me was a self-esteem booster. Everybody wants to be the person on the plane carrying the luggage, so I was putting myself in positions where I looked good.
Gotcha.
But I wasn't good at all.
Navigating the system.
Just navigating the way that I learned how to do it from my family.
We know Kesha is not quite one these days, so
no, she's not.
No levels. No. I love it, man. That's awesome, though, man. To be able to navigate through life with that, this is a disability, right?
Yeah,
and come out where you are, man.
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself. That's the thing that
she wasn't at first.
I wasn't honest at all. I was just like, this is me. This is what you're gonna get. If you don't like it, move.
This is what you get. This is who you got.
And I think that's one of the worst things that you can tell or teach anybody when it comes to self-esteem issues. This is what you're gonna get. No, it's not.
Right. That's kind of this is mask. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is.
So school sweethearts being married for 24 years, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's we're gonna start a show called Good Life with Kesha, the Pablo version.
Yeah.
But so what's some of the lessons you guys have learned and forming This Is Our Marriage? What's some of the lessons you guys have learned to be able to build and sustain a successful marriage over those 24 years?
So I think one thing that we had to, because we have been together for so long, we had to realize that we changed. And I think that was the biggest thing.
Didn't understand that at first.
No.
I thought when you got married, it was supposed to stay the same.
Yeah.
And when we started she started changing. And I didn't think, I was like, what, who is this lady that I'm marrying?
Right.
Not realizing that over the years things change, things turn different. People change, and we wasn't prepared for that. We wasn't, but we got.
I think that's even in friendships that happens, right? Because people grow. Like we're not friends with some of the people we were friends when we were kids. Like you evolve, you grow, and people aren't growing with you. You just kind of, you all people associate with their peers, right?
Right.
And so if you're not on that level, you're gonna grow.
Yeah. But the thing with marriage is you can't get out of it.
Can't get out.
No. You can, but you don't want to.
Yeah,
right. You can.
But it's hard.
You can get out.
Yeah, with a friend, you can be like, okay, I didn't do that. But when you married, there's a process.
Right.
You just can't say, okay, I want to be with you today. I mean, you can, but you still got to go through this and that. You got your children, you got money tangled up, you got so many different things where it's not as hard to pull away from. So that was one of the things that we had to sit down and say, hey, I don't like black no more. Don't get me anything black. It was simple things.
Simple stuff, man.
And so people think it's more of, bigger things, but it's the simple things, because the simple things is what make up a person.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So you think that's one of the biggest challenges for people is that people aren't realizing that other people are growing and changing, and they look at it as like, I'm not doing my part. No, this person's that's life. You're going to evolve. Like, you might change jobs, you might come around different people, and, life, everybody grows. If you're staying in the same place, you're dying, right? So
exactly.
Some people just, I think that's what that term people say, we grew apart, right?
Yeah.
You hear that.
No, you just didn't grow into each other. That's
exactly
how I look at it. But,
you didn't take the time to sit down with each other and say, hey,
let's talk about this. Because a lot of times in marriages, people don't want to offend. People don't want to be offended. People don't want to hear the truth about what's really happening. And the person who you live with the most is going to tell you exactly, who you are and what's happening. And sometimes you don't want to hear that from that person. And that's the thing. Sometimes you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
You know it's coming.
Right.
You know it's coming.
That's like the most dreaded words out of a woman for a man out of his partner's mouth is, "We need to talk."
We need to talk,
boy.
Boy. You start thinking, okay, what did I do?
Oh boy, you start doing the highlight reel, man.
Yeah,
I know I paid the phone.
Yeah. They ain't never good when she says that.
It's usually nothing good coming behind. We need to talk.
I don't know.
You learn. I'm sure you guys learn how to flip that though. Like, this is not always a bad thing, right? It's not always a bad thing. That's just men. I think we just so used to the negative coming behind. We need to talk, right? So,
and
so let me ask you this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That comes from that actually comes from your childhood. You don't realize that. Like, when you see the most highlighted thing in people's lives was the negative things that happened to them when they was a child. And so when you hear certain things, especially, if you had the parents there and you've seen how they interacted, when you hear those words, you think, oh Lord, instead of, okay, let's sit down and talk, you know. So, but you have to grow into it. You do have to grow.
Yeah, I think that can also come from like past relationships. You guys have been together your whole lives, but even like, you know, you have past relationships where we need to talk didn't always end up so well. So I think, you know, like you said, your childhood and just your past shapes you, right? So share some of some specific challenges you guys face as a couple, how you've overcome them, and give some up. Pab, I'm gonna let you go first, Pab. But how can you use some of your guys' challenges to help other couples navigate some things? Because mostly people go through the same thing, you know, for the most part.
Yeah.
And usually, from what I found, is just a breakdown in communication most of the time. So So what's some of the things that you guys have faced that you've overcome that you can now advise other couples on?
The one you said was communication was one of our big things.
Communication was always big.
Yeah.
That's one of our main points now. That's really helped our marriage with us. And we sit down, turn off the phones, whatever, and we talk about what it is that we don't like or do like, or changes we make, and then we come back around to it. When we first got married, we didn't do that stuff. We were just going through it, just doing our thing. But we really had
you're back in bed.
Yeah. So
and so we had to really sit down and start communicating, you know, with purpose. About it. And it really took our marriage, like, because we just assumed so much of the wrong stuff when you communicate with your spouse, somebody you think you already know, but like we said, people change. Right. So when we communicate, you hear different stuff. You're like, oh, okay, all right. Well, I'll do that. And, you know, we'll do this, and it's been working out.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like we actually make appointments. Like I'm like I need an appointment this day.
Yeah, we make appointments.
We're making appointments because for one, we have such a diverse schedule. We are doing everything. Right. You know, then you know, Pab's job schedule is different than mine. So when he's up, I'm asleep. He's asleep, I'm up. So we have to schedule time. And you know, a lot of people was like, I'm not scheduling time with my husband. I'm thinking, well, that's why you where you at. Like literally, I text him, what's on your calendar this day, you know, or either we set a definite day on Mondays at 12 o'clock. This is going to be our talk.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Let me actually, you say you guys have your schedules are basically you guys are passing each other. It seems like.
Yeah.
Like, is that to me like? I don't really see where that can be a terrible thing because you'll get to miss that person. Like if you guys are on the same schedule every day, all the time, you know, Pab's going to be on at 5:30. We're going to have dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's like, it's not a terrible thing because you actually get a chance to miss each other. So when you have that time, it's really quality time, in my opinion. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, it can be.
I say in our situation, yeah, because we've known each other for so long. We can deal with that. Now, like a couple that hadn't really known each other that long and they're used to being with each other, when that separation comes, because when I went to third shift, I hated it because of that. What you're talking about, I didn't get to see my wife. We was always coming and passing, and then Kesha basically started making a schedule and life of her own.
Right.
Because I was always asleep. And so she started doing stuff. And I'm just like, you know, I don't want her doing nothing while I'm sleeping. And then vice versa. I had to start doing stuff when she's asleep because I'm up. So I thought it was dangerous. I thought it was very dangerous at first. But we're so locked in with each other and our future and what God has for us. We had to step through it and make it work. But I hear what you're saying with that. Yeah. I do, because it is fun when we do come together because we hadn't seen each other in a couple of days, and it's fun, and so we get to go out and do some stuff that may be boring to the next couple. So
but you're together. It's like it's real quality time.
Yeah, and in terms of it's real quality time because we know I got to go to work tomorrow, so we need to make this really good today.
I like that.
But also too, you can become an individual without your spouse. So, you know, that's why we make the appointments. That's why we set the time, because we don't get a chance to see each other more like an average couple would see each other. So we set time, we set dates, we set no kids, like we don't have to deal with that part that much anymore. But you know, we make the time because we don't have the time. And but we're never well, let me just say this, we're definitely individuals. And I think that's the thing married people forget, is that you're individual. You were individual before I was an individual before I found Pab. I'm gonna be an individual while I'm here on this earth. I'm be an individual when I die. So I still have to have my own stuff. He has to have his own stuff. Like I don't like. He needs to go out with his friends. I need to go out with my friends. You know, I need to create my own things. However, I can't let that overwhelm the fact that I am connected to him in marriage. And I think that's the danger of having a shift like that, because I mean, there are times when I'm here, if Pablo here, I'm like, oh Lord, why you make so much noise? Why are you doing that? You know, oh my God,
man, go to work.
Because I'm so used to it just being me.
Right.
But we laugh about it though.
But we laugh about it. I still have to stop and say, but he still lives here. This is my husband. I got, you know, I can't. And sometimes that can be dangerous if especially if your marriage is on the rocks, or you know you got some things going on. That can be huge. Yeah, that can be
that work husband and that work wife come into play.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You have a working.
Now you two, man. Now you two, you two are like over here and over here. Like if I went to a party, I know Kesha's there. I might not know Pap's there, right? we walk in, we know Kesha is there. I'll be like, is Pap here?
Right.
But so you guys are completely opposite personalities. Pap, you super laid back. Kesha's like high energy in your face. How do y'all make that work? Because you guys are two totally different dynamics.
Oh man.
We accept
each other for who they are.
Yep.
Each other for who we are. But even though we're the way that we are, we put each other first. We pay attention to each other. Like when we're at places like that, and you may not see me, and my wife is doing 110 things. Trust me, she's still focused on me.
Mm-hmm. I know where he's at.
Oh, that's dope. Oh,
yeah, I know what he's at. I know what he's doing. I mean, but he knows as much as I pop around, he knows exactly where I was at.
Yep.
He ain't got no choice, Kesha. Everybody know where you at. Like he gotta go look what Kesha at. Oh, this.
You're right. You are absolutely
one over there dancing somewhere. We know what Kesha. He knows where you at, so you ain't gotta worry about that.
Not at all. But it makes it. But I think it makes us, because, like you said, everybody knows this is how our marriage is how it is. So when the roles change, we cover each other to where you don't even know the role has changed.
No.
And that sounds so hard, but and when Pablo was in his element, you don't hear nothing from me, because that's his thing. That's his element. Why would I try to come in and be the loudest one in the room when I need everything to be focused on him?
Yeah, that's gotta be a challenge for you, Kesha. That's gotta be a challenge for you.
I'm gonna tell you,
it works.
It works. Let me tell you,
it works.
It works.
I love, but we had to have some sit down talks about it though. But okay, when we out
back to the communication.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Back to the communication. These certain things, we're not gonna do that, and I'm not gonna do this.
We need to act right.
Talk about that. Yeah.
So, and I think another thing that we do too is that we had to learn it. So I can say never, but we don't we don't embarrass each other or bring up anything. If Pablo do something that's crazy, I'll be like, oh, okay. Behind closed door, I'm like, now, baby,
write that down.
Yeah, I'm like, now you know that was wrong.
Right.
Yeah,
you know what you.
That's what's up.
But I would never say that in front. So that's another thing to where he can be himself, wherever he's at, and I can be myself wherever I am.
Yeah, you gotta be a united front in public. I'm like that with my children. Like, you know, if I go to your school, understand I'm on your side first, but don't make me look bad.
Don't make me look
bad. Whoa. You know, embarrass me. Okay, showtime. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. You gotta be united front, and you deal with your stuff, you know, off to the side. So this is our marriage, man. That's a dope, man. I watch your stuff and I see how you guys post things, and you know, that's pretty dope, man. So share some of what roles has your shared commitment to mentoring and coaching others in their relationship kind of helped you guys? Like, how's that help you to help other people?
Well, for one, we always want people to understand that your marriage is your marriage. That's why we call it, this is this is mine, this is our marriage.
Oh man, that's right.
So what we do may not reflect what you need to do. Because so many people, oh my God, he does ABC from her, but he may have an ABC job. Your man don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So then you putting the pressure on him to be somebody else's spouse, and that's not good. So we always tell people, whatever works for you and your husband or your wife that keeps y'all together, that's what you need to do.
Facts.
And with us is it's when we're, I think now that when we mentor other couples, I think it really strengthens us, because you have people that are looking at us like, I can't get him, and it's on a basic level. Mm-hmm. I can't get him to get a job, and I'm just like, wow, we way down there, step one, and so they're looking at us like, what am I supposed to do here? And so we kind of just give our input, but we always tell them, it has to be your decision, like my wife just said, because certain people do different things in their marriage, and as far as we're concerned, we may do things differently than others. Mm-hmm. But we'll give you our input, and it's really helped us, because we end up talking about some of those things after it's over, which is always fun.
Yeah. But the key thing that we want the people who we mentor or that's going through our courses is that you and your spouse, or you are your own individual person. And I think even today, it shocks me sometimes to hear about how women and men are still going through low self-esteem and, just certain things. I'm like, we should be far from that, but we're not, because we're still, especially now, living in the social media area. And so you're looking at, these marriages, and you're looking at me and Pab, and looking at you and your wife. But when we shut this door, you have no clue what we're going through.
Right.
No clue of the conversations, the miscommunications, the sleepless nights, listen, you sleep over there and I'm gonna sleep over here.
In my face.
It's for me.
Yeah, if you go ahead, then we're gonna be good.
Right.
But we tell people that we definitely believe the Bible. We love the Bible. We love God. But when people say don't go to bed angry, listen, I'm going to sleep.
Shoot, I done had a few of them. No, bro, get away from me. Get away.
That's just not realistic. Yeah. I'll talk to you in the morning.
I'll talk to you in the morning.
Maybe
in the morning.
Maybe in the morning. Maybe mid-afternoon.
Yeah. I trust me. I know what you're talking about. Sometimes you're like, man, look, just leave me alone, man. Let me let this simmer down first.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I know me. Like me personally, I don't like to be pressured into conversations. Mm-hmm. Right? Because then it's gonna go way from where we intended to go. Like just I'm not saying we're not gonna talk about it, but I don't want to talk about this right now. And then you got that person, I want to talk about it. That's
just me. I don't want to talk.
I don't want to talk about it. Can you just let me chill for a second? We're gonna get back to it.
On Monday at 12 o'clock, we're going to talk about this.
My wife get back to it. On Monday at 12 o'clock, I got it on my schedule. I'm like, man, let me go.
You know what? But that's not a bad thing, because you get to filter through the stuff. And then you kind of probably realize, man, that wasn't even what I thought it was.
Exactly.
That was something that was going on with me. Mm-hmm. And we know we take it out on a person closer to us, right? So you might get to that 12 o'clock appointment and be like, man, we don't even really talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't even that important. Let's talk about something that's going to be productive. So, So let's talk about. You guys have the coaching business. You obviously both work full time. You have 2 children. Like, how do you guys balance your life around that? And like I said, that's got to be tough. Because you got to give your children their time as well. So how do you navigate through that situation where, like I said, I know you got different work schedules, you schedule appointments, but man, there's got to be something that, that holds this together with all the challenges you guys have, like just in everyday life. So is it the appointments? Is it What is
it's first our personal. We have to have a relationship with God, so God can tell us what to do and how to do it. Then we break it down to us communicating weekly, daily on certain, like weekly. Like I always say, okay, today, what we got going on this week? Ethan got a track meet. Elijah's over here. You got this. You're going out with your girls on this day. Okay, we'll do this on this day. And so we sit down and we talk about our week every week.
So
and it's
scheduling is huge.
Scheduling, yes. And then sometimes certain things change, but we always we give ourselves first and foremost time. Then it's the kids. Then it's everything else.
Yeah.
Then it's our businesses. It's our our jobs and those type of things. But it's an order to it, and we make sure we stay on that order. If I look up and I think she's spending more time doing something else instead of with me, I'm gonna make that known.
Right.
Because
I like that.
Yeah.
What?
And
another thing too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Another thing too is that we, again, like Pablo said, we prioritize, but we let people know. You ain't number one, baby.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell them no.
We tell our kids, you are not number one.
Right.
So you have to make your people, your circle, your group know, because people are saying in a minute now. His family, which I love about Pablo, even when we was dating and stuff, like his family was like, "Listen, y'all better not say nothing about Kesha. Pablo gonna go off." So they knew. Yeah. So, but they knew, because Pablo's family is super tight. Like, if anybody come in, you fortunate, because they're just so tight, and they're protective of each other. They keep each other's kids. Like, they still do all that old school stuff. They hang out. They do parties together. So they're super close. Yeah. But when I came in the picture and they knew that Pablo was really serious about me and whatever. I mean, even his mom was like, "Nah, don't make no joke about Kesha, Pablo, and Catherine." You know what I'm saying?
So run up on you real fast.
Yeah. So people know this stuff, and like I had to do it with my family. Like, hey, like there ain't no timeout, nothing. Don't do this. So that was another thing that we had to incorporate when it came to other people. Our boys know.
Mom and dad first.
Yeah, they know they like 2.5.
Remember we went to that bingo party and Elton was on the mic and said, "Them kids." You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Them kids.
Them kids. Right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
you gotta do it though. You gotta do it.
You gotta prioritize that order,
right,
and make sure they understand it. It works out for us because we put each other first, and then everything else kind of trickle in down the way, and we communicate about the rest.
So let me ask you this. Let's shift gears here. In the context of these modern relationships, dating and marriage has definitely evolved, right? It's a whole 50-50 and all this crap, So what advice do you give these couples as, just growing up in this modern era of marriage and dating, like, to kind of bringing them back in and like, no, this is the foundation of a marriage. Like, social media can ruin a lot of things, right? Relationships, because people start seeing this, comparing their marriage to this, and you don't even know these people. Like, who's gonna put on social media, man, me and my husband have a terrible relationship. They're only gonna put the great things, right? So people start seeing these visuals and think, oh, this is what a marriage is. Like, you don't know what's going on once the camera's off. So how do you kind of bring these people back and like, no, this is what the traditional roles of marriage are. Not forget about all these things you're seeing. Like, how do you help these young couples?
So I think one thing that me and Pab did when we first got married, which was huge, and we didn't even really know we were doing it, is we changed the whole trajectory of life for me and Pab. So again, like I was telling you, Pab's family is very close. They are super close. But when we got married, we moved to Charlotte by ourselves. It was just him and I. We had no friends. We had no family. It was just him and I here. And so we changed history for us, because I knew that there was things that my parents did that I was like, absolutely not going to happen. And same for his family. we went through the whole genetics of our family. Alcoholism runs in our family. Drugs run in our family. Generational trauma. Just abandonment. No fathers. Just different things. And so we sat down and wrote all that stuff down. And we was like, this is what we don't want. Like we had to see it, and we had to be honest with, okay, my dad didn't do this right. Your mom didn't do that right. So we ain't doing that. And not get offended and say, oh, well, we're going to use, and that one of the things that happened in our marriage is, and this is very funny, but it's very minute, but it almost wrecked us. Past mom used game, my mom used Tide. So what you think we're going to do? You want a game, I want a Tide.
You better use cheer.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're thinking my mama was right. My mama washed clothes. Just little things like that.
Things can set it off the wrong way, man.
Yep.
Those traditions.
Yeah.
We had to stop a lot of those family traditions and make our own. And so that's definitely one thing I would tell anybody who's thinking about getting married and doing that. Stop. Just because your family did it this way or his family did it that way doesn't mean that's going to work for you all. Someone may see it totally different.
Yeah.
And so you have to make your own type family traditions.
And be okay with that. Yeah, because my mom is very, my mom likes me to be around. And so Christmas time, she thinking me, Pab, and the boys don't come to her house. I was like, Mama, Pablo's mama lived down the street. I can't come to the house all the time. And so that hurt her because, but we had to say, this is what we're going to do for us. So then we said, well, we ain't going down there. We're going to stay here. And we create things for ourselves.
And that made them mad for about a year or two.
Yeah.
But now they're cool with it.
Yeah.
So it's just, you have to set those boundaries and those family traditions for yourself. But my favorite, and I tell people, you have to communicate and you have to purposely talk about things in your marriage. And don't keep your eye off of that social media stuff, like you said, because that stuff can fool you. It can fool you real good.
Yeah, and it has, and it's never going to stop.
Right.
Social media is here.
Right.
It's never going to stop. It's just you have to be honest and true. Another thing I would say is you got to be honest and true with yourself. Like I'm really big on individualism, and people when I tell people that, they think I'm talking, not connected to Pab, but I am my own person.
No.
And he's his own.
And we're connected. You have to understand that I'm still my own guy.
Right.
She's our own girl, but we're just connected. And you have to balance that out.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, women, I can only speak for women, we want to do this and we want to be this and we want to do that. I'm not doing all that.
Right.
I'm not doing all that. Like when me and Pab got married, I said, this is things I just don't like to do. I don't like to pump gas.
And certain things I used to like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So that's that communication point.
Communication, right.
Yeah. And you have to be honest with your spouses about the absolute no's.
The absolute no.
I don't care. It's absolutely not happening.
Right.
And
so when you're advising, I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off.
But no. I'm just not wavering.
So when you're advising a young couple, what's the top 3 things you tell them that you must have in your marriage?
Definitely, you must have communication, but it's so saying that is so broad.
It's broad.
Like you have to really go into a lot of details because communication has so many different facets of what that means.
But it's very, 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 very important.
It's very,
very, very, very, very, very.
Very.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to be able to separate yourself from your family. A lot of people don't want to separate. This is my mama. She gonna always be with me to the end of the world. But okay, yes, that is such a true statement. Yeah. But I am too. If you're already thinking I'm not gonna be there, then I'm not gonna be there. Call those things to be not as though they were.
Right.
You just said I'm not gonna be there. So and then you have to put.
So what is that? 1?
That was 1. Communication was 1.
I say we've always said, look, we're gonna have some fun.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have fun in our marriage. It's not gonna be all so serious. We're gonna have fun. And that's been at the top of our list from day one. And y'all, you know us, we gonna have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we gonna have some fun. Yeah,
it don't matter where we at. We be at a funeral laughing at something. I'm telling you, we be sitting up there like that. You see that right there? Look right there.
Come on, Pab. Why they gotta land like this?
We're like, what? Like, why did he put his hands like
Pab,
that?
you're not. Pab, remind me to take you off my list.
I'm gonna tell you.
But it's mostly her.
No,
I'm gonna blame her. She be pointing stuff out.
Okay. So that could probably roll into number 3. How about accountability?
Accountability.
Yeah, listen. If you don't have fun, I was telling one of my
enjoy it.
Yeah,
man.
I was telling one of my clients. I think me and Pat, we was doing a counseling session with a couple. We was like, "Have anybody ever seen a picture of Jesus laughing?" No. He's either tearing up the church, or he's either standing still, or he's, commanding.
Wow.
But you haven't. But I'm like, how can Jesus not have joined them people?
I know
them 12 disciples got on his daggone nerves. No, if we join him, he joined.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, you're not gonna
I've
tell
never
me.
thought about that. That's so true.
Yeah.
True. I've never seen a picture of Jesus smiling.
Laughing. I mean, cracking up. I'm saying,
killed
you're not gonna tell me that Jesus didn't talk about Peter and Paul and them, talking about who gonna be first. Nigga. I'm sorry. What you mean?
I told you we were gonna keep it raw. We were gonna keep it real. Don't hold back.
But you know what I was just thinking about, Glenda? My pastor told me one time, he said, you got these 3 things in check, your marriage is gonna be fine. Communication, you got your money and finances in order, and your sex life is in order. Your marriage.
Come on, talk about it, bro. Talk about it.
Yeah.
You handle them 3 things. Now this ain't mine. This is what I heard my pastor say. But I was just sitting there thinking about it. Wow, he did. I remember
Pab, you lacking some accountability over there, Pab. You passed the buck on a couple things.
He said, communicate. You get your finances in order.
Absolutely.
And your sex life is in order.
Absolutely.
And he said this too. It was so funny. He said, "Kiss your wife. Put your tongue in her mouth."
I was like, yo, man.
Yes.
Y'all must go to a modern church. Y'all must go to one of them internet churches.
He really
old school.
He's
like,
old school, man.
80s?
He's in his 80s.
Nah, that's true.
Talked about a relationship in the beginning. He was crucial in the beginning of our marriage. That's another thing. Get
good mentors.
Get good mentors.
Yeah.
Or somebody that you can talk to, bounce stuff off of. Not just emulate, but talk to and bounce stuff off of when you're going through something. Because I've always had brothers that be like, man, you wrong. Get your tail back home and fix it. You gotta have people like that in your life.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're gonna think you're right all the time.
Yeah, and another thing with that too is you gotta get mentors that love you both.
Right.
Let's go.
Don't get a mentor that just like Pab but don't like me. Of course, he's not for us. Right. You got to get somebody that's for you. So when my friends or whoever like I need you to be, I need you and Pab to mentor us. I said, listen, I'm gonna talk junk to you about him, and I'm gonna talk junk to him about you. Yeah, so do you want this or not? Because I'm not gonna be just your friend. I'm there for your marriage, not just for you. And a lot of times,
that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this? Because you hear this. We all heard this growing up, right? Happy wife, happy life. So you got a lot of men that are suffering in silence in marriage because all of us, growing up to think as long as your wife is happy, the marriage is good. Well, what about the men? Like, how do you balance that? Like, because we know, both of us know, Kesha might get a little mad at this, but most women just cannot be wrong. Right? And that's that lack of accountability. I'm saying, let's keep it real.
What you think?
It's I guess my thing is I know my wife, right? And I know sometimes I be trying to get when she wrong, I be trying to get to it. Like, no, we're gonna talk about this because you are wrong on this one, and she still find a way around it. You right.
What?
They don't admit when they wrong, man. They don't like that.
Boy, but come on, talk to me, man.
But here's what I've learned.
Kesha, move to the side right
Kesha,
Let's get Pab in a second.
Here's what I've learned.
Right now.
The happy wife, happy life. I agree with that because I mean, truthfully, when my wife is in a great mood around here, things just go better. Things work. It's the mood is right. The house is in a much better place. So I would rather her to be in a good mood. Now, when those issues come up to where I'm really going through something, the one thing about my wife, I can say this: my wife is a prayer. She loves God. She prays. And if I'm going through something, she catches it all the time. And she'll be like, either she'll come and we'll talk about it, or she talked me into getting a counselor, which I hated from the jump.
Right.
But it was one of the best things ever happened to our marriage, talking to an actual counselor. Because like you said, men nowadays are really bottling up a lot of stuff. And I had so much stuff bottled up inside of me that it just, but my wife, she knows, she's my helpmate for a reason.
There you go. Talk about it.
We keep forgetting that part. She's my helpmate for a reason. Right. And we're supposed to be there for each other. And when she is happy, things are great. But when she's not happy, this house is not in a good place.
Ain't no food
so I
cooking.
find myself trying to step up and make sure she's in a happy mood in certain places, which I feel. But
too, I know that most men, and definitely Pablo, he's a fixer. I have to tell him, I don't need you to fix this. I just need you to sit down and just listen.
And listen. Gotcha.
I don't want your opinion. I just need you to sit down and listen. Because if I just go at Pablo with anything that's going on, I mean, I can fix it. I just need to hit this button. But it's like, if he can't hit the button right, it's not, and then it makes him feel bad, like he didn't do good as a husband. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I don't need that from you. I just need you to sit down. So those are things that you have to start being able to communicate with your spouse. Like, I just need you to listen. I don't need you to do nothing.
That's what we have to recognize, though. We have to. That's why I say you have to know your spouse to a certain extent. And I know Kesha to a certain extent. I'm not perfect, but she knows when I ain't right. And I think that comes from her spending time with God. We always give our time to God first and foremost. And that's when she recognizes things. She'll wake me up in the middle of the night. Let me tell you how good this girl is. She'll wake up in the middle of the night, and I don't like those taps either, because that's another one you got in trouble. But she'll be like,
"Hold up now."
I'm like, babe, what's the
ain't
matter?
That other tap, so don't think about that.
Look, she like, look, not that one, not that one,
not that tap, not the love tap.
And she'll be like, something ain't right. Like, for example, she'll be like, you need to call Philando now. And I'm like, what's the matter? I was praying in the spirit, and she gets those type of things, and I'll pick up the phone and I'm calling certain people, and they be, about to jump off the edge or something like that. And so she catches things when they get there, and that's why I'm always prepared to make sure that this house is in a place where she can be at peace and be able to hear from God.
That's crazy because she has actually called me before and be like, "You okay?"
Yeah.
You've been on my spirit. Everything good with you? Like, so I will say, I can attest to that. She called me. I'm like, Kesha, I'm good. But
no, you ain't, Fernando. No, you ain't.
She's like, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. What's up?
You ain't gotta tell me.
I'm like, man, yeah. I'm with you on that, Pab, all the way, man. So let's lighten this up a little bit, man. Let's talk about some of the funniest things that happened in your marriage that kind of like you were like. That's helped you, okay, man, this is my dog right here, man. Like some of the things y'all go, some of the humorous things.
I can give you the very first one that I could really. We got a lot, but was it the one when I lost my job?
That's the one you always have.
That's the one I always have. I lost my job, man. As soon as I had Elijah, I think I might have lost my job, maybe
was it February?
A month later. Yeah, and lost my job. Just had Elijah. Kesha wasn't working. Disastrous for a man.
Wow, absolutely.
I came home, and I'm thinking we had been married 2 years? Because we had been married about 2 years. So I came home and was like, yo, babe, I lost my job. And she was like, what? I said, I lost my job, baby. And she was like, cool.
She said cool?
Yeah, she said cool, Philando. Then she was like, well, let's go out and celebrate. And at first, because I was nervous to tell her. And so, but when I told her, she's like, let's go out and celebrate. We're going to thank God that he gave you that job. He's going to get you another. We're not going to worry about we're going to go out and celebrate. So the whole time, I'm still looking at her like, is she going to leave me at the restaurant? Like, what's going on here? And so
it's the setup.
It's a setup. So we get to the restaurant, man. We celebrate and having a good time. And she didn't say nothing else about it. And from that day forward, I was like, man, this is my dog right here. She didn't say nothing about that job. She rocked with me from day one, man. And that's when that was one of the first one. I was like, oh man, she forever. I got her forever. She's rocking with me, and I don't have a job, even though I'm going to get one tomorrow. But she rocking with me from the jump. That was one of I think the ones that told me that this is a real one. I got it. So that's my one example. I love that. We laughed and drank, had a good time. The whole time I'm thinking, okay, she's gonna leave me after we finish drinking. We ain't got no money. But that's mine. I love it.
I love that, man. That's dope. That's dope. Rich for poor, like they said, for rich for poor, right?
Listen, this is a funny one. We tell this one on our podcast. It's super funny. So when we got married, I left being a flight attendant because Pablo was like, I want you home. And I'm thinking, dude, I'm about this money. What do you mean?
Right.
Yeah,
and so I was like, well, okay. So I just got a regular job. Wasn't paying a lot. We just moved to Charlotte. Just got our house. And so I'm sitting there. And so we going over the bills, Philando.
Oh, yeah.
Bills on the table. This dude, talking about, go ahead and just give me your half.
50-50, baby.
He making like 5 times of what I made.
50-50.
I went Philando from we got married in 99. In 99, Philando, I was making probably about $75,000 in 99.
Whoa, that's balling.
Can you say that?
That's
to go into a $35,000 job.
40, yeah.
And you gonna ask me?
You talk about 50-50.
I didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need your half. We gotta pay this.
Hey, Pab. In this modern era, you'll be divorced in this modern era. You say something like
that. I said, what? He was like, yeah, the house payment, this 50. I said, I'm not giving you 50-50. I said, you make 20 times or more. I said, listen, I'm getting groceries. Then we said, we're going to just put all of our money together and pay everything, give each other an allowance. And that's how we've been doing it ever since.
Been doing it like that ever since.
Let's go back to that communication.
Yep.
Yeah, that 50-50 was a bad idea for
that
us.
Was my,
that 50-50 never did sound right. It sounded like about 70-20. Or
that sound like, that's 5, that's like 95.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna need half your check, baby. We gotta pay this mortgage. She was like, that if I paid the mortgage, that's my whole check. And I was thinking, like, you know what? She is right about that.
But that was that's how he grew up.
That's how I grew up, 50-50. My mom and dad, my mom and my stepdad, 50-50.
Today.
To this day, 50-50.
Man, I remember my parents used to have their names on the albums. Remember?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
It's mine.
It's mine.
Yeah, I was sitting there.
That's how I grew up. I grew up 50-50. Yeah.
See,
and Kesha grew up like her dad worked and made all the money.
And that was why I was money, because my dad made all the money and my mama didn't know nothing.
Mom didn't work. Yeah.
You know what? I remember you telling me that after your dad had passed away, your mom was saying this, that your mom didn't even know how to write a check or how to pay bills because your dad took care of everything.
Yep. To this day, still to this day, it's the same way. I'm taking care of, I help my mom take care of her stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the money. That was why I was out the money, because I was like, ain't no Negro gonna tell me I can't go nowhere.
50-50, baby.
And then I gave him my job, and you talking about 50-50. I was like, you have lost your mind.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what if the roles were reversed?
See, if they were, when I was in college,
no, I'm saying so coming in and they were okay.
But we weren't married, so that
married.
was a different dynamic. But in college, I didn't have nothing. She had all the money. I was like, we're gonna do anything. It's on you.
Right. I took care of it.
She pretty much took care of everything. Every time we did something, she took care of it. So I said, I'm gonna get you.
And before we got married, like Pablo had some debt. My daddy told me you never be in debt. We took
most of her money,
and I paid off.
And we paid off all my debt before we got married.
Up, man. Mm-hmm. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
True,
that is true, not happening. That's not happening in today's marriages, boy, or even relationships, man. You hear all these women talk about, oh, you got to provide for me, and you got to do this and this, that. But what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
As funny as it seems to be, Philander, I am such a huge male advocate. Yeah. I would advocate for a male quicker than I would for a female.
Because she know.
I will.
You about to ruffle some feathers on that one, Kesha.
Yeah, I do. Because I'm like, sis, like, of course, we know women think just because you're the mama, you get the baby. Why? Who said that? So
some women aren't mothers.
Some women are not mothers, and some dads are amazing dads. So, that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about Pablo's business. Yeah, I'm so excited about his business. So excited about his business because I'm like, he's helping men understand that you are a man. Just because you didn't have your dad, that does not negate the fact that you can't take care of a child and you can't have a great life.
You'd be surprised how many dads out there that feel that way. They don't know how to take care of their child. Mm-hmm. Well, I never heard of it. Never heard of it. So, but anyway.
Yeah.
That was my baby story.
I said, this man talking about 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah. And another thing.
I was listening to a Teddy P song the other day. 50-50, 60-40. Talking about that.
That's why Teddy P.
Yeah, he should.
Say what?
That's why he had 50,000
women. He had all the women.
Hey, 50-50. Yeah, that's such a thing these days, man. But I also think, and Pap, you can speak on this. And Kesha, you probably can too. I always said men aren't meaning anymore. Like to me, it seems like the masculinity is dead, right?
Well, absolutely.
What's your thoughts on that?
I guess with me, Kesha's always been a go-getter. And she was taught by her dad to get her own stuff, do your own thing, don't depend on no man for nothing. And so we butted heads a lot because, like, for example, we button heads because I got the trash can in my hand, she got it in her hand. I'm like, what you doing? No, you're not. Like those type of things. That's her dad taught her. So, and I think she almost went overboard, and I had to kind of pull her back a little bit. Like, yo, I'm here. I don't know a whole lot, but I am still the man in this. And so when you have like her, she's just a go-getter. And I've learned how to navigate around that. But she still knows that I'm the provider, I'm the head of this household. And she treats me and respect me as that. Now, you got some men out here, and they standing out there like they're in charge, and they not. Mm-mm. And they doing the wrong stuff. They got the wrong ideas. And so you got to know your place. And a lot of men don't. Once I learned the order, when I started reading the Bible and I got saved, and I started reading the Bible and learning, this is what man's supposed to be. This is what he's supposed to do. This is how he's supposed to take care of his family. I ain't let off that since.
Right.
And my wife,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this, Kesha. Being that you were so independent and a strong-willed woman, how were you able to reel yourself back in and let him take that lead? How were you able to do that?
It was very hard. Mm-hmm. It was one of the hardest things I think I had to transition into, because for one, I wasn't healed. So when you're not healed, you continually be in fear, you continuously feel abandoned, you continuously feel all those traumas. So, once I got healed, I was okay to let that go. Because again, the way that I grew up in my family, my dad was this way. He took all the money, he did this, he did that. My brothers was bullies and did this and did that. I'm sitting there thinking, ain't no way I'm gonna let somebody else do this to me. So once I allow myself to heal and say, you know what, this man loves me. And it took me forever for learning, because when I tell you I was literally pushing Pablo away, I was pushing him away and didn't know it. And then it was like we were doing something. He was like, why would you just let me love you? Wow. And I looked at him like, what you talking about? But when I went in the bathroom, I cried so hard because I've never heard that. Like you never heard, son, I never heard a man say to me, just let me love you. I got you. I'm not gonna hurt you. And he kept saying, I'm not your dad. I'm not your brothers. I mean, and he had to continuously say it to me until I healed enough to say, you know what? Right. I'm just gonna just throw it in the towel. You know, if it don't work, I know how to pick myself back up. Right. But I've never had to pick myself back up. Never.
I think that's where the healing process comes into play, because you know, a lot of, you know, I think we've all been guilty of this. We take, you know, when you don't heal, you're going to take that into your next relationship.
You absolutely will. You absolutely
I'm like, listen, don't make me pay for somebody else's crimes, right? Exactly. So I think what happened is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you learn how to trust him.
Yep.
That he was going to do the right thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I side-eyed it. I kept looking, you know, and I always had my little stash, because what you ain't gonna do is leave me with nothing. Now I'm giving you my whole check. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting my whole check in here, you know. But we were taught, you know, growing up when we got into church, you still got to give yourself some type of allowance, because I still like to do some other stuff.
Yeah, trust was big. She didn't really trust in the beginning.
No.
And like, I'll say this real quick. I know when we first got married, she was like, I'll never forget it. We sat down on our little floor in here because we ain't had no furniture. Right. We sitting on the floor. I never forget it.
Let a brand new house.
I love it. I love it.
No
brand new house, no furniture.
So get a trade for side tables.
Yeah. So we sitting on the floor, and she like, so, you know, we're gonna do this marriage thing. Are we talking about marriage and what we're gonna do? How that's the type of stuff. And she was like, well, God said that you're the head of the house. She was like, what we gonna do?
What we gonna do?
And this one, I was new to the Bible, the whole nine. So I was still wet behind the ears, and I'm just like, what do you mean? She's like, you're in charge. You're the head of this house. She said, I'm gonna follow you. What we got?
That's dope.
What we going on? What we doing? I'm just like, well, I was not even prepared for that. I'm thinking we're gonna go a bit of the McDonald's, get something to eat. She said, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
She talking about and so I learned real quick. This lady's standing behind me, and she wants me to leave. So I got to make sure I'm doing right. If I do right, she gonna be right there with me. And hey, 25 years later.
That's why I was like, if I'm gonna throw my hands up and say, okay, you're gonna do it. Listen, you're gonna do it.
You better do it. Yeah,
you're gonna do it.
She let me do it, you know.
But you know, again, another testament to Pab that I'm just so proud of him. You know, not having a dad in his life. Elijah and Ethan have no clue of how rough. Yeah, and I tell them all the time, y'all don't understand. Your dad didn't have nobody to show him nothing, and this is the results that you're getting. Some kids don't get that, right? You know, so you know, for him to take the time out to say, let me heal myself, let me figure out how hurt I am without having my dad, instead of saying I don't need him. You do. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Right.
Everybody needs their dad. I don't care who you are. He could be the junkiest junk of junk. You still want to find out something about him. Right. Because that's your bloodline.
Right.
Your blood
that's dope.
Yeah, it comes from your dad. I can't give my sons anything from him. It's gonna come from him first. And to not have that, so if anything happened to him, he can't just go and say, hey, Dad, can I get a kidney? You can't.
Right.
And so, you know, that's why I love this group that he created, because it has given men a safe space to say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
And everybody else with me either. You know?
See, the thing is that's why, like, I have a group of guys we talk I talked to, and we touched on this one of our podcasts. It's like, that's my whole agenda, is a provide a platform for men can feel safe, right? When we talk, because there's somebody else going through the same thing. They're just not going to say it until somebody else says it.
Right.
And then the floodgates open up, man. So, like I was joking with my boys the other day, man. I think it was like Friday. I was like, man, I love these guys so much. Like, I can break down right now, crying, this, that, and the other. They're going to pick me up. Now, rest assured, 6 months from now, when we playing golf. Man,
you're joking.
They're crying.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I can just fall back because I know I'm safe. They're going to catch it, right?
Good.
But trust me, believe me, it's going to come back up.
It's going to come back. Yeah.
But it's all love, though.
It's healthy and it's
healthy
love.
For you.
It's healthy and it's love.
Yeah, it's healthy because you know these guys have me. I can do this.
And you're able to break down.
And you know it's going to be fun again.
Yeah.
Right,
and a lot of men don't have that. A lot of men don't have that safe space where they can
just
cry, release, talk about the wife. Like, I mean, I'm like, Pab, listen, you had an opportunity to go ahead and tell them people you don't like me. That's fine. Right. You know what I'm saying? But they know you want them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people, I say, listen, you better say you don't like that man. I love him 24 hours a day. I said, no, you don't. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Nobody don't like everybody all the time.
Nobody. Listen, nobody. Stop lying. We
don't even like ourselves all the time. So how you gonna like somebody else all the time? Like that's.
And you with you all day.
All day.
Right.
You have to tell you what to do. You have to tell you when to get up. Like, you are with you. So if you don't like you all day, be true about it. But like we were just saying, get a good mentor. Like you said, get a good group of guys. Get into one of Pab's group sessions where they talking about not having a dad. How did it affect you? I mean, because you see men, Leonard, we've seen men just break down.
Right.
I mean, just like,
you talking about a 50-year-old man doing that. Not no 30-year-old.
No.
Talking about 50, 55, breaking down. So
asking questions, why he don't want me? Well, I mean, how I look like him. I look just like him.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Why I gotta forgive?
Why I gotta forgive? Just stuff like that, and to have a group of guys to help assist you in that is huge. But
that's huge.
Yeah. And then they be able to come home and have a good spouse that to say, hey, this is where we at. This is what we do. Let's
that'll
go.
pick you up, man.
Yeah.
You definitely need that spouse that'll pick you up.
You see how she just pat herself on the back? Then you come home to that good spouse.
That's right, baby. Listen here.
I'm telling you,
that's dope, man. You gotta have that, though, man. I think
we ain't joking. We ain't playing. My wife lifts me up when I need it, and I'm telling you, and I try to be that way for her. I'm learning more now how to try to be there for a little more versus I'm such a us men, we get your ass up, get it together.
Right. Get it together.
I gotta figure out another way to do that. You know what I'm saying? When she's down, versus just telling her to get up. I gotta be there. That's what I'm working on as we speak.
No, that's right. Work in progress is what they call it.
Work in progress.
And with that being said, you're never gonna get it, and that's okay. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times people want to say, hold on. Go back. Explain that. What you mean? You're never gonna get it. When I say you're never gonna get it, the reason why you're never gonna get it because only God can fix 100% of what's wrong with me,
right?
Not you.
Gotcha.
So you're never gonna get it. So give me what you can. Give me what you can. If last week, I'm still grieving my dad, so I'm still having up and down days. And so last week I was like, Pablo, I just need you to check on me this week. That's all I need. Like, don't do nothing else. Just ask me how I'm doing. Just give me that much. I don't want nothing else out of you. Just give me that much.
Right.
Because you can't fix this grieving process. I got to go through this.
Right.
You can't fix it. So I already have in my mind when Pablo was going through some things is I'm not going to be able to 100% get this.
Gotcha.
So then the pressure is not on me. The pressure is I'm going to give you everything I got. And if it ain't enough for you to manage to make it through, you're going to have to get the rest from God because it's not me. I can't be God to him.
Right.
He can't be God to me. The only person that can fix you 100% is God.
Yep.
Because people are flaky, people minds change. You know, Pablo may not get enough sleep tonight, so tomorrow he may not be up to handling me a whole day. Who can do that? You know, and another thing, you know, we always talk about is, you know, have different levels of friends. Everybody want to have these 2 best friends because in the Bible it says you get 2 people. That ain't true. If you get 2 best friends, if both the best friends tie, what you gonna do?
Facts.
You have to have different spheres of friends that's doing different things. Like there are like 2 people that I would never ask to take me anywhere because they're always late. Why would I ask these 2 people? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I ask these 2 people to take me somewhere they always late? I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to be anxious. I'm not going to be at peace. But these 2 friends I can go to and say, hey, I just need to sit down and, you know, have a glass of wine and let's just chill. I can chill.
Right. Got you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't put 100% of everything I need for Pablo. That's too weighty.
Right.
It's too weighty.
I read somewhere where men gotta have two groups of friends. They gotta have the 6 p.m. friends and the 3 a.m. friends.
Yep.
Right. Because you know that's a certain group of men. If you call them out to 6, they probably ain't answering the phone.
Yeah.
Answering the phone.
But you gotta have that friend. If you call them 3 a.m, boy, where you at? I'm on the way. You know, we all gotta have that. So like you said, different levels of friends, man. But you gotta understand who those people are too. You can't just, if you know that's the 6 p.m. guy, don't call him at 3 a.m.
Don't call him at man.
You're disappointing yourself.
Right.
You gonna put on. You know what I'm saying? Understand the levels of your friendship.
Right. Yeah. And that's how I look at our marriage. I look at that way. And you know, because Pablo can't give me 100%.
Right. She can't give me 100%.
And we know that. But everybody's like, we won. He'll give me 100%. Ain't nobody giving you 100%. If I give Pablo 100%, what I'm giving my kids, what I'm gonna give this podcast, what I'm giving my mom. You know, like I can't give, you know, you gotta.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. People, my husband got 100% of my time. Girl, the lies you tell.
The lies. I'm trying to make it sound like a sound bite.
It sounds spiritual.
That's why I said you gotta get serious. Marriage is a serious thing that people play games.
Yeah.
They play games because they think mom and daddy did it this way, so it's gonna be fine. No, mom and daddy is different than yours.
Yeah,
it's a different world. It's a different world in our marriage, bro.
Yeah,
it's a fast-paced everything. You know how it's so fast-paced that you know something can happen today, and there's so many things that happen in a week's time that what happened today feel like it was 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole nother dynamic where when our parents were there, everything was right there. There was no internet. There was no. So you just kind of involved with the people you're involved with. Now you got the whole world involved, right?
I mean, because
it's such a fast-paced thing.
Yeah. And the same things was happening back then. We just didn't see it.
Same thing.
We didn't have internet. We didn't have bombs, war, bombs, prostitution, drugs. Everything was there. We just didn't see it because, you know, we have social media. But I'm gonna say this is funny. But I was talking to one of my clients, and I was telling her because her self-esteem is kind of low. She's going through a couple of things, and so her husband looks around a lot. He just be looking just everything.
Wondering.
And so I remember 2 things. I remember what Pablo had told me one time at work. He was like, "This man said, hey." I'm a window shopper, but I don't buy nothing.
I don't buy nothing.
I don't buy nothing.
I don't buy nothing. I look at him like, all right.
And so when I told her that, she was like, "But that doesn't hurt your feelings." I said, "No." I said, "Because he chose me."
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
That's insecurities, though. That's insecurities.
That's the insecurity. That's the low self-esteem, and that's what she has to build up. But she puts him in such a cage, and so that's why I'm like, you have to I'm not gonna say, Pablo, go out there and roam the streets, but I can't sit there and say, hey, like you can't look at nothing.
I'm gonna tell you what I used to tell people when I was competing. You can always look at the menu, you just don't order nothing.
You just don't order nothing.
I ain't order nothing. Boy, these fries look so good, but I know for my purposes, I can't touch them.
Listen, your fries gonna choke you up, and you're gonna
come on, man. A lighter side of that, man. I remember I was competing, man, and when you get deep into that last 3-4 weeks, you deep in it, man. And I'll never forget this. The maddest I ever been, and I'm starving. I just left the gym, just did cardio, and I was at the light, and I looked to my right, and this lady was eating fries. And that looked like the best French fries. Somebody, man, I wanted to jump out the car. She was like, what kind of fries are those? I was like, man, what kind of fries she eat? Boy, she look like she had right now, boy. But yeah, you can always look at just because you're on a diet. Don't mean you can't look at the menu.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think those are things that, you know, a lot of people are not true about in marriage. And, you know, you just have to be true about everything. Yeah, listen, everybody got eyes.
You just got to be watchful and mindful. And, you know, I try to look. My pastor once said, sometimes you got to take your face and.
Right. You got to get some dark sunglasses, boy.
Get that boy turn like that. I used to have to make my hand do like this. I said, what is this? Where do you get this stuff from? That's amazing.
I love that, man. That's dope, man. So on that, man, let's close this out, man. It was a pleasure having you guys on. You guys, you kind of give us a rundown, man. You guys have like a schedule when you release things, like your podcast, like what nights can people tune in to find certain things, and you know, tell us. I see we got it scrolling across the bottom, but just kind of give us a little bio, man. Tell people where they can find you, and you know, your schedule and things like that.
So my business is called Doing Life with Kesha, and what we do is we help married women overcome traumatic events, just like completely once and for all, be done with it, so that you can create and maintain a great life. A life that you never experienced before, a life that you never thought was capable of you having, you know, because trauma is huge. And a lot of us are mothers and wives and friends, and we're hurt. So really, we're not doing justice to anybody if we can't do justice for ourselves. So,
I love that.
So like a whole master classes, I always put the schedules up on my Facebook page. And I spoke to you incorrectly, Flander. I apologize. But on I am Doing Life with Kesha on all my social media. So that's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can just go there. You know, I have schedules of stuff that of things that we do. I like to do a lot of one-on-ones. I'm a huge fan of groups too, because I think a bunch of us talking about stuff, you know, you feel more comfortable than being on one-on-one. But yeah, I just want people to be happy. I just want you to be happy. Because if you are happy and you deal with your trauma and you deal with, you know, your mama's situations, your daddy's situations, I believe you'd be your absolute best self.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So because I'm a dad, it's right now I have a Facebook page going. I'm working on some stuff with it. I don't have it to where I want it to be. But although I do have clients already, I have contact information that you can catch me and things of that nature. But I'm working on doing something really, really big, and it's in the beginning stages right now. But you can contact me. I think is it Krill and Stroll?
Yeah,
that's Krill.
Yeah, my email is because I'm a dad too @gmail.com. You can email me there, and then I have my phone number is 980-643-0046. You can call me at that number. And because I'm a dad, it's just, you know, dads who grew up without their dads, and they're really learning how to navigate through this life. They're having problems and they're struggling with being a dad themselves. And believe it or not, it's a lot of men out there that think like that. And so I wanted to use the platform to help men navigate through this process and let them know that they can be a great dad even though you didn't have one. Because my wife tells me all the time I am one. So it can.
Everything I've seen, you're an awesome dad, man. So, man, listen, I appreciate you guys, man. I love you both, man. And you know, it's awesome to have people that you really know and to do these things with, man. But I just want the world to get to know you guys, man. So I appreciate you guys, man. Loved having you on. Pap, I'm going to reach out to you about. I'm doing a segment called Men's Club Mondays.
Okay.
I definitely want you on that, man. So once again, man, fabulous Kesha and Coach Pab. We had an awesome time, man. Look forward to seeing you guys again, man. Like I said, I appreciate your support, and I'll see you.
We love y'all.
Close this thing out, man. Nah, man, love you guys, man.
I
appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate the support, and we're gonna change the culture one podcast at a time, man.
That's right. Let's do it. See you later.
See y'all later.